or I'm looking for long-term profits. Basically, somewhere that is what basically in a way defines. All of us are basically here for short term, and that's where things go wrong. The planet goes wrong, unemployment is a serious problem because we are looking for short term profits, and that in culminates into very high level of inequality, and then of late you're seeing huge amount of poverty. That is basically now in the last 20 years progress they've made, they've kind of undone all of that in just last 2 years, and that's where basically the role of the social business possibly is now even more important than it was. I think that goes without saying now. And that's where actually the role of the seeding that idea, I think, comes to the management and the economics field. Because that's where the back seed started. I think that's the time now the right seed possibly has to start. And actually, I've been working on a short course on social business, and this became a kind of a very good opportunity for me. Thank you, Professor Sai, for inviting me because I got not many different perspectives besides what I already had in my mind. And I think I'm just quoting the very famous economist Keynes. Because when facts change, I change my mind. You do, sir. The problem is most of us do not change our mind. Even if we know the writing on the wall is very different, but we are refusing to change. And that's because of the inertia of the human beings. We take a lot of time to change. And then wherever we are stuck, we get stuck. And that is actually is a very big challenge for the intellectuals across the world. And besides using the social capital together, can we really bring them together to kind of change the perspective, change the narrative? And on the main time, one of the important challenges I find in this discussion is that can we go local? I think one of the major problems is that everything is talked in English. So where it's supposed to go, it's not going. So that's another very, very big challenge. I think, although I'm not speaking English, I wish it could go into, like in Bangladesh, I think one of the major reasons it succeeded, and wherever the model is going, is that they are, I think, local people and the language of the communication, the awareness is local. And that's where I think a lot more potential exists, which can be, I think, encashed in the time to come. I'll just stop here, given the time shortage, and maybe something more discussion will come.
Thank you, sir. And since you talked about the contribution made by management education to worsening the entire scenario, I think I'll invite Professor Vinita to share her views on this topic.
Hello everybody, good afternoon. Before I begin, Shalini, and it was a pleasure listening to all of my co-panelists. I must admit that the experiences that I share, of course I'm an academician, but if I have 20 years of academic experience, it is supplemented by 20 years of experience from business as well as very closely seeing the social sector. I sit on the committee of FICCI, Social Innovation, and also sit in the committee of CSR at FICCI. So, and I owe my experience also to the British High Commission, which kind of handpicked me very early on to get an experience in the field of CSR. So, taking the academic point of view, as Shalini you had mentioned, so I'll be very, very specific only to the role of academia in social innovation and businesses. So I just have a framework in mind, and I'll try and see how much I am able to bring it forth. So I see there are multiple actors in this society. We have the non-profits, we have the for-profit businesses, we have now we have the social entrepreneur. But what connects them all? So the businesses I'm kind of, I don't feel very heartened by listening to the criticism which is laid on to the business sector. Of course, they are the ones who earn the profit. And, this engine of growth of businesses, the economy that is driven by them, is actually the seed capital for the rest of the society. I look at it this way. So, from a business point of view, they are the creators of wealth. And my definition, it may be narrow, but it will be only sufficient to talk about the topic, in the time given. So, pardon me for my narrow definitions, but I try to be as expansive as possible. So, market-based profit organizations, then we have the non-governmental sector, and we have other sectors. Now, what is the role of academics? what does academics do? Academics, they are entrusted with the responsibility of teaching, mentoring, researching, consulting. So these are the responsibilities of an academy, and this is what academics is supposed to do. But then, how does it, weave all the other sectors? Now, academia's role, if I talk about, let me bring in three important facets of academics. Now, one is academic entrepreneurship. And I am sticking to academia and entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship. So now let's talk about academic entrepreneurship. What do we mean by that? And I try and trace the spectrum from academic entrepreneurship to the social entrepreneurship. Now, academic entrepreneurship primarily and traditionally has been benefiting from science, industry, and technology, right? So that's the STI model. Now, science, of course, it produces inventions, and you will know that Thomas Alva Edison did not commercialize the invention. What he did was invent. So, as an academic entrepreneur, very traditionally, what we understood by entrepreneurship connected with academics was academic entrepreneurship, where the commercialization of scientific inventions were the moot point. So, if we are talking about licensing, we're talking about patenting, and we're talking about intellectual property rights, and so on and so forth. This field has been advancing. So that's the academic entrepreneurship. Now, second, I talk about the student. Now, where does the student figure in? The student is the bread and butter for a teacher. Right? It's also the bread and butter, and it's also the love of the life for the teacher. Now, how does academic contribute to students? Now, students are we can do that two ways. One, the student themselves become social entrepreneurs. So that means the academia has a role to influence, mentor, teach, profess social entrepreneurship to the students so that they can become social entrepreneurs tomorrow in the days to come. So that's one role of the academy. Now, another is, of course, go on researching. So Jyotsna brought in the experience of case studies. Now, these are important because the empirical evidence is required in terms of the empirical evidence is required. Until unless we have empirics, we will not be able to say with confidence that this is tried and tested out there, and so you do. So that's also the role of an academic. So keep on researching, bringing, developing models, better models, seeing the issues, researching them, and then bringing forth the solution. So one part of academics is there researching, but also bringing in empirical evidences so that it is conveyed to the students and the larger community, whosoever wants to benefit. Even the social entrepreneurs themselves, and also it has to impact the policy. Now, the third part is the social innovation itself. Now, what is social innovation? I have some students here, so I will, define it for them. So, social innovation is a process where you have newer ideas, you have newer processes, you have newer materials and products, you have ideas which will provide social solutions, right? Solutions to those problems which neither the government, nor the NGOs, nor the academia, nor the so, blah, blah, blah. They've not been able to solve till now. So there is an opportunity for picking up these social issues and converting them into business. Of course, the bottom line is that the social entrepreneur does not work for himself. That is wherein lies the difference. The social entrepreneur works for the society. So that's social innovation. And now if we talk about the role of academia, of course, the research then is contributed to the social, sector, to the social innovation sector. And also you're contributing students who are informed and able to undertake those processes. You have ready students and motivated students to go in and become, part of the process in social entrepreneurship. So that's the I've woven all the actors. And now let me talk about very briefly about the social impact. We're talking about social impact, but there are hardly any measurement tools that are available in terms of how do we know what is the aggregate social impact that has been created in society? And herein again, the academics pitches in, because who brings in the models of how do we measure it? Otherwise, we create islands of excellences, in various places, but we not. And then, of course, this is only on the positive side that we're creating islands of excellences, but then, we may just be, scratching the surface, not doing much at all. So there is this second part. Now, wherein the business comes in, and I owe it to the business sector, also working with them for a long time, having a ringside view of how businesses actually, create their impact, and it's not all ugly. In fact, I'm very pleased with the policy intervention, that is, the amendments of the CSR Act that have very, recently come in after the high level committee in 2018. We had the CSR Act, which is amended, and it welcomes 4 kinds of innovations. Number one, you have, the social venture funds. You have social venture investments. You have social impact bonds. You have impact bonds. You also have, socially social impact companies. So just like Prabhat was talking about. So social impact companies, and this, I'm very brief. So this, I'm just coming to the end. So this is, the entire circle. So the CSR funds are the facilitators that can, give rise to social impact bonds. The social impact companies have a very valid chance to work with the private sector and as an NGO, and produce a commercially logical model which can produce social impact. Thank you.
Thank you, Professor Roy. Very interesting, and you kind